I don't remember. I'm seeing for it.
Okay, squares and square roots.
The other hall is ahead of us.
Huh?
They're doing this. They did this yesterday.
Who?
The other hall.
Okay. All right, so let's say you have these values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go through and square each one. What do you get? So let's say x is that. What is x squared going to be? So you're going to square both of these, all these numbers. What do you get? 1 squared is what? 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2? 3 times 3? Everybody together? 4 times 4?
16.
5 times 5?
36.
41. 80.
64.
64?
81. 80.
100. And it goes on. Okay? So these are the squares. So if I wanted the square roots, the square root of 4 is 2, right? Square root means what do you multiply by itself to get that number? So what do you multiply by itself to get 9? 3. The square root of 9 is 3. Not the square root of 3. The square root of 16 is 4, not the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So once you take the square root, you leave the radicand off. That's what that little symbol means, the name of it, okay? So the square root of 25 is 5, the square root of 36 is 6, and so on. Okay? Got it? All right. Now, example 1. Example 1. Here's something new that you didn't know. The square root of 49 over 25. That fraction, the square root of both of those numbers. Well, what's new to you is this. You can take that radical and you can divide it up between the top number and the bottom number. You can't reduce 49 over 25, right? You can't reduce it. But you can split the radical into both numbers. Now, what's the square root of 49?
7.
And the square root of 25? 1. Now, on your calculator, what is 7 divided by 5? 1.4, right? Okay, now, what's 49 divided by 25?
0.6. 1.96.
Okay, now take the square root of that number.
Of 1.96.
Was it 1.96 flat, nothing else? So what's the square root of 1.96? On my calculators, you have to do this. The second key, and then I think it's the x squared key. It has the square root sign above it. And then you put 1.96 in. What do you get? Should be 1.4.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. See, it works. That's my point. Now here's the problem. Sometimes your calculator, when you do these fractions, will give a real long number. At the end of the screen, it rounds it. And then if you were to go this route and do it this way, you would get a different number than what's up here. The point is, sometimes it's best to split the radicals up and figure it out. But this is a tool that you get to use. You get to decide, do I want to take 49 over 25 on my calculator and take the square root of that? Or do I want to split the radical up and do it this way? This is what the answer is that I was looking for, 7/5. if you can take the square root of each individual one, I expect you to do that. Okay? That's example 1. Example 2 is this. 2 times the radical of 64. Oh, minus 3. So there's an expression. Do you know what the square root of 64 is?
Okay.
No. So you do that first. This is a grouping symbol. The radical is a grouping symbol. So you do grouping symbols first, correct? So you have to do 2 times, now that's 8, minus 3. Now what do I do next?
2 times 8.
The multiplication. 2 times 8 is 16, minus 3. What's 16 minus 3?
13.
That would be my answer. Is everybody following me?
Yep.
Awesome. Now, example 3 down here. The negative of the grouping, the square root of 400 minus the square root of 100. So we must do our grouping symbol first, inside the parentheses. The negative doesn't disappear. So what is the square root of 400?
20.
20. And what's the square root of 100?
10.
10. So what is 20 minus 10? Okay, again, the minus sign doesn't go away. 20 minus 10 is 10. My answer is negative 10. Got it? That easy? Awesome. Example 4, and then we're done. The negative, if there's no negative there, then no big deal. But the negative's on the outside. The square root of 49 times the square root of 16. I have one more example after this I'm going to show you for your benefit. So what do you know?
7.
Yeah, the square root of 49 is 7.
8.
And the square root of 16 is?
4.
Alright, now what is 7 times 4?
28.
So it's negative 28. That's my answer, right?
This is way easier than what he's learning.
Yeah, well, I mean, some things are easy and some things are difficult. Okay, now there's one thing I want to show you. Example 5. Let me erase this. Example 5. The square root of 2 times the square root of 8. Do you know what the square root of 2 is?
4. 1.
No. 1 times 1 is not 2.
0.
You don't know what the square root of 2 is. What about the square root of 8?
4.
4 times 4 is not 8.
We don't know.
You don't know. The square root means what 2 numbers can you multiply together to give me that number? They have to be the same numbers. Yeah, 2 times 4 is 8, but that's not what the rule for the radical is. There isn't a number you can give me, but just like when we had this, the square root of 49 over 25, you can split that apart to this. You can put them back together. Well, in multiplication, you can put this together. What's 2 times 8?
16.
Now, do you know what the square root of 16 is? Sometimes it benefits you to put the things together. Those are 2 new things that you learned in 8th grade. I know you know how to use a calculator to take the square root of a number. Well, this is 8th grade. We're moving on. We're learning how to manipulate these numbers. Everybody understand?
Oh.
Yeah.
On example 2, how do you get the square root of 64 minus 3? Where did you get the 3 from?
That was just part of the problem.
Oh, okay.
Okay? All right, good.